capital of West Flanders in northwest Belgium, is distinguished by its canals, cobbled streets, and medieval buildings. Its port, Zeebrugge, is an important center for fishing and European trade. In the city center's Bruges Square, the 14th century Stadhuis, City Hall, has an ornate carved ceiling. Nearby, Markt Square features a 13th century Belfry with a 47-bell carillon and 83-meter tower with panoramic views. A visit to Bruges is not complete without a boat trip on the Bruges canals, the arteries of the city. Accompanied by swans floating alongside you on the water, you will discover Bruges from a surprising perspective. Because some things you can only see from the water, you can embark at one of the 5 landing stages in the heart of Bruges. For half an hour, the captain will take you on a tour of the most beautiful spots on the water between Jan van Eyck Square and the Beguinage. Along the way, you will be able to admire some of Bruges' highlights from a completely different angle and will be given an explanation of what you see. You can board a boat for a boat trip on the Bruges canals at one of the 5 embarkation points in the center of Bruges. The boat companies all take the same route on the canals and maintain the same tariffs. Boat trips are guaranteed from early March through mid-November, every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Boat companies may deviate from these sailing times, depending on the weather and on local demand. No evening tours are offered, so as not to disturb the peace of those living along the water. From mid-November through February, the boat companies can decide for themselves whether to open or not, and at what times. Tours are permitted on parts of the Bruges canals. All the boat companies take the same route between Jan van Eyck Square and the Beguinage. On the way, you can admire several of Bruges' highlights. View the route. Tours are permitted on parts of the Bruges canals. All the boat companies take the same route between Jan van Eyck Square and the Beguinage. On the way, you can admire several of Bruges' highlights, such as Jan van Eyck Square, the medieval port district with the elegant Burghers Lodge, the Groenerei, one of the most romantic canals in Bruges, the Rosary Quay, with a view of the centuries-old Belfry, the Diver, with a view of the stately Church of Our Lady, with the tallest tower in the city, the Groenerei Bridge, the widest bridge in the city, the Boniface Bridge, one of the most romantic bridges in Bruges, the medieval St. John's Hospital, one of Europe's oldest hospitals, the entry gate to the Beguinage, part of UNESCO World Heritage. boats make a 30-minute tour of Bruges canals without any stops. This means you cannot disembark during the tour. There are 5 different boat companies, each with its own embarkation point. You can choose which boat company you want to travel with, and then depart and finish at that point. The tour of Bruges canals takes half an hour without any stops. Longer boat trips are not possible. The boats are not covered. In the event of sudden rain, umbrellas will be handed out. If it rains hard for a long time, the boat companies may decide to suspend the boat trips after a while, or they will not open at all. This decision will be taken by the boat companies themselves. The boat's captain will give an explanation during the voyage through a microphone. The languages in which the explanations are provided will depend on the nationalities on board, and so may vary from one tour to another. At the start of the boat trip, the skipper will ask which languages the visitors speak, and based on that, he/she will decide in what language or languages the explanation will be given during the boat trip. There are 100 or so swans on Bruges canals. They can move freely on the water and are used to the boats. They will move aside themselves when a boat is approaching. Both Bruges skippers and the passengers on board are expected to show respect for Bruges swans. The animals have been swimming on Bruges waters for centuries, which is why they are cherished by the residents of Bruges. There are a great many swans roaming around on the water and the banks at the Burghers next to the Beguinage, as this is the only feeding spot in the city center. The boat is a good place to get a view of Bruges' swans here. swans are taken out of the water and moved to a covered winter residence, where they even have their own swimming pool. The swans are also transferred to their winter residence for preventative reasons when an infectious bird flu is circulating. As to the route and onboard explanation, the boat trip is not tailored to children, but the experience of a boat trip in itself is something children will enjoy. Coming aboard, sailing on the canals, sometimes being sprayed by water, the swans on the way, waving to people on the shore, ducking for a low bridge.